we're going to get started. So on behalf of Pampelle, I want to welcome everyone today to the Pampelle Summer Virtual Event. We are here at the stunning Coogee Bay Pavilion, just live streaming to you from the Glasshouse rooftop bar. It's absolutely gorgeous today. It's perfect weather. So I'm Emily from Agent99. You've probably dealt with my colleagues Nicole or Nisha in the lead up to today, but we're so glad that you could join us this afternoon. Thank you for taking time out of your days to come and join us to make some delicious cocktails and learn a little bit about this world first grapefruit aperitif. So before I introduce you to the team that will be making you these delicious cocktails today, just a few quick housekeeping things from our end. So the first thing is that today's session will run for approximately 1 hour. We'll finish at around 5:20 p.m, but there will be about 10-15 minutes at the end for you to ask any questions about the brand, the drink, the cocktails. So with that in mind, if you have any questions throughout today's demonstration, feel free to type them on the live chat. If you'd like to send a more personal one that you don't want the whole group to see, you can send it directly to the host of the event as well. But with that in mind, we are just so grateful that you could join us. If you haven't already got your Zoom cameras turned on, we'd love you to do so that we can see your faces as we make these cocktails. But with that in mind, if you can also please keep your microphones muted, that way you can, there's no background noise or distractions and you can hear the team here as they take you through the recipes. And so today you should have received everything you need to make these delicious cocktails. You would have received a nice kit in the mail, something like that. It has all the ingredients you need to make these 3 that we're going to be talking you through today. So if you haven't got your kit already, get it in front of you, get everything out, you're going to need it all. So as I mentioned, we'll be doing 3 cocktails and stopping after each one just to take you through the tasting notes, the flavor profiles. So if you have any questions about them as we go, feel free to type them in. So finally, before I stop talking and leave you all, this session is going to be recorded. So if you have any questions or want to watch this back, you can do so. The team will send you the link tomorrow, and that will include all of the recipes that you learned today, as well as the imagery and other press details. So that's enough of me. I know the real reason you came here today is to learn about Pampelle and make some cocktails. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to today's bartender, Manuel Terron. Sorry, Manuel Terron. He is one of Australia's leading bartenders. Hey, Manny. Hey. One of Australia's leading bartenders. He is the owner of Bar Tapa in Darlinghurst. He's also a TV host. So Manuel's going to take you through all of these recipes today and teach you all about this incredible drink. So take it away, Manny.
Awesome. Thanks, Em. Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for showing up to your living room or / kitchen with your computer. It's much appreciated. Hopefully you guys are settling in and we're getting ready for this virtual experience. The first for me too, so don't worry about it. Okay, so just a little bit about me. My name's Manuel Terron. I have been a bartender for about 28 years. It's been a long slog, but that has taken me on a fantastic journey. I have been a global brand ambassador. I have been a spirits writer for several magazines, and I've also had the fortunate circumstance of actually hosting my own television show called Mixing with the Best, which went around the world. This allowed me to go to some of the best bars around the world and drink some exceptional cocktails from some incredible people. So that's enough about me. Now, just so that we're clear on what you'll need for today, I want to make sure that everybody has some glasses in front of them. So we are going to use a glass to taste the Pampelle with. Then for some of the other drinks, we're going to need maybe a tall glass. You could also use a glass like this, but we will use that one again for another drink. And then, of course, we are going to need something that is like a large style of wine glass. That'll help for the 3 different cocktails that we have. Also, let us not forget one of the most important ingredients is, and that is ice. You cannot make a delicious summer drink without ice, people, okay? So make sure we've got plenty of ice to make those drinks. There's a few, not a lot of tools that are needed, but for garnishes, we might need a knife. You might need something just to stir your drink. Now, I understand that in your kits, you do have a straw, so you could happily use that. You could use a butter knife, you could use a teaspoon. It really doesn't matter. It's just something to mix the drinks up, okay, so that they don't settle. And of course, something to measure the ingredients. Now, look, this is obviously a bartending measure, and it gives me gradation of the quantities. You guys can use a shot glass. You can use an egg cup. You can use you know, the measuring spoons that you use for cooking, or even the smallest of the cup sizes that you also use for cooking. So there's a lot of things that you can use just to measure out. Now, they don't have to be exact, but when we talk about one part of this or two parts of that, it's just going to make it easier for you guys to create a well-balanced drink, and that's what we're looking at. Mind you, with that said, you guys are going to be making drinks for yourselves, so you can kind of mix and match and add and subtract as you see fit according to your taste, okay? And of course, oh, and finally, the kit. Make sure you have the kit, right? Otherwise, it's not going to work for anybody. Okay, so I'm just going to cover a little bit of the history of Pampelle. Now, the truth of the matter, it doesn't have a long history, but it's a relatively new product created by Patrick Borg, along with a family in the Cognac region. It's a family that's been in the Cognac business for over 150 years, so they really know what they're doing on the riverbanks of the River Charente. It's a breathtakingly beautiful place. So basically, Patrick really found that there was a gap in the market, and specifically in regards to the aperitif category, and I'll cover the aperitif category in a little bit. But what he saw was missing was the flavor of ruby red grapefruit. Such a lovely flavor, bittersweet, tangy, bright. It just really didn't exist in the world of bars and bartending. So he really was looking to create something that would fill that enormous gap. Now, there have been grapefruit liqueurs before. They just haven't really stood the test of time. And this could be for the reason that liqueurs are quite high in sugar, and it maybe didn't work with that bittersweet component of the ruby red grapefruit. But for an aperitif, it's actually the perfect ingredient for something like an aperitif. Now, when we talk about aperitifs, what are they? So when we talk about vermouth, that's an aperitif. It's something that you can drink at the beginning of a meal. It opens up your appetite. It basically comes from the Latin aperire, and that is to open, and basically opens up your appetite so that you enjoy the food that you're about to partake in, okay? As I said, vermouth is one of them. Sherry's is another fantastic aperitif. You know, all of these fortified wines work quite well. Then, of course, brands that you may know, such as Campari and Aperol, are also aperitifs. So they'll have some kind of herbal quality to them. You know, they'll sometimes have a nuance of bitterness. They're basically, designed to really open up the appetite, and that's what Pampelle does frighteningly well. Now, you may wonder, Pampelle, where does this come from? Well, the French name for ruby red grapefruit is pamplemousse, and this is where we have gotten the name of Pampelle. We've just taken the mousse out of it and kept the Pampelle. Seemed a logical name change there. But what we've done is really try to harness the flavors of the ruby red grapefruit. Now, as I said, Patrick worked with this fantastic 150-year-old Cognac family, and more specifically with the master blender Pascal. And they came together along with myself to really create a product and finish a product that would be the ideal summer drink, okay? So before I get into the production, because I'd like to talk to you guys about the product while we're actually tasting it. So if you guys have handy, I mean, you know, I'm a bit of a snob, so I bring my own tasting glass to these sorts of things, but you can get any glass that you want as long as you're able to put your nose in it and actually smell the goods, okay? So what we're going to do, you finally get to crack that Pampelle that's out of the box, so pull it out of the box. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start by putting a little splash into whichever glass and look, if you have a coffee cup, I don't have to see it, so that's okay. We can do that too, all right? But just swizzle it around, okay? The first thing you'll notice is that gorgeous color, okay? And that is the true color that we extract from the ruby red grapefruit, okay? The grapefruits that we use in Pampelle are sourced from Corsica, which is an island of France. And considered one of the best of the ruby red grapefruits for their flavor, for their color, and for their zest. So now, if you guys like just put your nose in there, I mean, you really get that smack of the ruby red grapefruit. It really does. It gives you the tang. And to me, I don't know what you guys are feeling in the comfort of your own homes, but when I smell that, I automatically start to salivate. Like it really is that true aperitif where it starts to get your juices flowing and get you ready to actually eat something, because it's such a delicious flavor, such a delicious smell. So let's give it a bit of a taste. Now, right there, right from the entry, what you're getting is that the grapefruit flavor. What's lovely about Pampelle and why it is so true to the fruit itself is that it doesn't have that overbearing sweetness. What we're getting is that lovely kind of bitter, clean finish right towards the end, and that's exactly what you want, right? This is why I said those liqueurs from the past didn't really stick around because it becomes cloyed, becomes too full, it sticks around the mouth too much. Whereas this, you really get the sensation that it finishes off quite clean. So that's a great start. So now, if you guys did what I said and you actually got a little bit of ice near you, now let's just add a little bit of ice to that, okay? So same glass, I didn't finish it all. If you guys did, pour a little bit more. You got a full bottle, no worries. All right, give it a bit of a swizzle. Now, you're not going to get as much of it on the nose because the ice really shuts down the olfactory components of a product, okay? But it should open up the palate. So what you'll get is even more of that grapefruit brightness, that real lovely tang. I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, that to me is what I would consider the perfect pour. Now, yes, we are going to make some cocktails, but as you guys can taste it, if you guys are having it at home like this, all you need, if you wanted to add a little slice of fresh pink grapefruit or ruby red grapefruit in there, just to give it that extra kind of like lovely fresh smell. But otherwise, just on the rocks, sipping like that, to me, that's absolutely gorgeous. And of course, I'm going to finish it. So while you guys are finishing it, let's cover off some of the, I guess, the production methods and how we come up with this particular product. So, as I said before, the ruby red grapefruits are sourced from the island of Corsica, just off the coast of France. Basically, they're picked for their exceptional quality, their juiciness, and their punch of flavor. Sometimes the problem with fresh produce, right, is that you get something that doesn't really give bang for buck, right? It doesn't really reach out there. We make sure that we source the juiciest and more succulent ruby red grapefruits. So what we do is we do 3 steps with these particular grapefruits. The first step is we do one maceration where we halve the ruby red grapefruits just like this, and they get macerated in these halves in neutral spirit. Okay, it's an eau de vie that's created in France. So that is allowed to macerate. That is one component that is set aside. The next is that we take the peel of these Corsican ruby red grapefruits, and that gets macerated into a spirit. Okay, now that after a series of weeks will then get distilled. Okay, so what you have is the first process, that first maceration will give the primary flavor. All right, that's probably what you first taste when you taste the Pampelle. The distillation, though, the distillate that gets created is what we call the secondary flavor. So it's compounded, the ruby red grapefruit. So the secondary, that middle palate, that's the distillate, and that is the ruby red grapefruit distillate that you're getting there. The third process, and this has to do with the color. So we've noticed that beautiful kind of ruby red color, and a part of the process is taking the juice that we extract from these ruby red grapefruits, and then we reduce it down, and that gets reduced down until we have this very, very intense color, and that's what we put into the bottle to achieve that realistic, vibrant color that Pampelle has. Okay, so that's what we do just with the ruby red grapefruits. To compound that and to elevate those flavors, we use 3 other citrus, all highly prized, specifically for their peels, all right, for the skins, because their skins are amazing. Number 1 is the Yuzu Fruit. Okay, this is a kind of like a lemon hybrid from Japan, highly coveted, very, very expensive. If anybody has gone out there to buy yuzu juice, you'll know how expensive yuzu is. And the peels just match that incredible flavor that the yuzu has. The other one is the cedrat, okay? Now the cedrat, also known as citron, also from France, okay? And not quite a lemon. It has a coarser skin, not quite a juicy style of lemon, okay? This is highly priced, again, for its skin. And these we also source from the island of Corsica, where the ruby red grapefruits come. Then the last one is the bitter orange, or the Digarade. And this is better known as the Seville orange. Now the Seville orange, that bitter component of the peel, that intensity of citrus notes gets used as well. So what we do is we take the three peels of the yuzu, the cedrat, and the Digarade, and we do separate macerations of only those peels. And those macerations help elevate and bring forward that ruby red grapefruit flavor. Now, as I said to you, it is a bittersweet. It's a bittersweet aperitif, you know, and that's what makes it such a perfect aperitif, is that you have those beautiful bitter notes that make it clean towards the end. The way that we achieve that is not solely from the fruit itself. It'd be hard to harness that exclusive bittersweet. So we have to compound the bitterness, and we do that by using natural gentian and cinchona bark. Now, cinchona bark, for those that don't know, is what was used to make the original tonic water, okay, that the English military lads would have in the Congo and such, you know, so they didn't catch malaria and devastate the troops. They'd have their gin with the tonic water, and that's quinine. That's what comes from the cinchona bark. So the gentian and the cinchona is what gives Pampelle that lovely, clean bitterness right at the end. And then finally, we just slightly texture with a touch of rosemary extract, and this is what gives Pampelle such an incredible versatility. Okay, this is, and we'll talk a little bit about food pairings later on, but this is what makes it such an amazing product to pair with food. So it's something that you can mix with a variety of spirits and a variety of drinkable products that also goes incredibly well with food. So I think, and the final bit, which I guess is one of the most important, is being French, we compound this product with French eau de vie. Of course, coming from a cognac house on the banks of the River Charente, you'd expect they'd make some damn good spirit, and they do. These guys rock it, and that's what it's compounded with. So very, very French, very Mediterranean. The bottle itself really exemplifies that Mediterranean feel with the colors. Even has the damsel flower, which is actually from the cognac region itself. When I went there to do Pampelle, you would see them just floating around over the top of the River Charente. An absolutely breathtaking place. So, Em, are we going to make some drinks?
Sure are.
Yeah.
Maybe while you get set up, I've had a question come through as we get set up for the first cocktail. So you talked about food pairings. What, with aperitif, it opens up the palate, it opens you up ready to eat. What are some of these, you know, classic food pairings? If you're going to start a meal, what's the first kind of thing you'd recommend putting out to eat with?
Well, I'll put the question back to you. What's so French? There's nothing more French than meats, cheese, and bread. You cannot go wrong with meats, cheeses, and breads. Okay. There is a caveat to that though, that they don't all work. Okay. So stick with your soft cheeses, your wash rinds, your hard cheeses like Manchego, Parmesan work wonderfully. Blue cheese does not. Okay. So stay away from the blue cheese. It's not a great pairing. Everything else though within the cheese realm, fantastic. With regards to meats, you could have like a spicy cured chorizo style. You could have salted meats like prosciutto, jamon. You could have saucisson, you know, salami, salchichon. So you can have all of these different types of meats. Spice actually works quite well. In fact, you don't want to go too far on the spice graph, because I think it just becomes too hot, and the Pampelle can't keep up with it. Like all the flavors can't keep up with it. It kind of buries them. Okay, so while we're going to make something really, really easy. The first one is super, super easy. So grab your tall glass And what we're going to do is we're going to do a Pampelle and Tonic. It's very, very easy. So what we're doing is we've taken away the component of gin and replaced it with a lower ABV, lower sugar product, which is the Pampelle, okay? So great for the waistline, you know.
What are you saying?
What's the first day of summer?
Oh, okay, there we go.
We're all getting naked, so, you know, everybody wants to kind of look their best. So
You're
drink
on the
Pampelle,
beach.
guaranteed you'll look damn good. Right? Even if it's just holding the drink. Okay, so make sure, I definitely don't have a beach ball. But we fill the glass up with ice, that's very important. And then what we're going to do, and like I said, you know, you grab your measure. Now, normally I would say for a Pampelle and Tonic, we want to do a measure to a measure and a half. I like measure and a half, and sometimes it depends on the size of your glass, because if it's a small glass, you probably only want to do one measure, right? To balance out with the tonic. If it's a taller glass like this one, a measure and a half is fantastic. If you really like Pampelle as much as I do, then you could do 2 shots. I think that's okay. All right. So here I'm going to do a measure and a half. So 45 mils, right? If you've got one of those like cool old school shot glasses that measure 30 mils, 1.5 of those. But like I said, really depends on you and how much you like it and how you want to experiment. If these drinks are for others, you can make them in a jug. It's so easy, right? And that's the epitome of summer, right? And we're just going to top that off. I've got some Fever Tree Mediterranean tonic. It just works so well, slightly salinated, so it does have that beautiful texture about it. Then I'm just going to give that a bit of a stir. I mean, you can just do an up and down, just to mix those ingredients, okay? And then you probably want to get a little garnish going. So perhaps you take some of that pink grapefruit or ruby red grapefruit, just give it a nice little slice and just pop it in the top. And that, to me, looks sensational. That's the Pampelle and Tonic. Summertime, anytime.
Looks gorgeous.
You gonna give that a try?
Yes, why not? MC/taste tester. This is great.
She's my target market.
Oh, sorry, not very classy one.
That's right.
Yeah, it's delicious. It's clean. It's like easy on the palate. It's everything.
It's clean. It's crisp. So what we essentially done is we've replaced the gin in that. Now, that's not to say that Pampelle doesn't work well with gin. In fact, we've got another cocktail that we're doing towards the end that does marry it with gin. It marries well with vodka. It will marry well with tequila. Tequila and Pampelle is fantastic. Gin, as I said, you know, anything kind of beyond that, when you get into the dark spirits, you're going to have to trial and see how they work. But the white spirits, they'll all work fantastically. Even a darker style of rum will work really, really well. Brandy, it's in there. Of course, it's going to work. Okay, but that's a thing to see what you guys like. Now, the next one is going to be one of my personal favorites, and that is the Spritz. Okay, you guys have tried Spritz before, all right? It's a very much a summer drink, okay? Except this one's better, all right? So all we're going to do is heap of ice in there, okay? I've brought my biggest, most obnoxious glass that I could possibly find because it just screams awesomeness, okay? So what we're going to do now, this one calls for 2 parts Pampelle, 3 parts sparkling Prosecco or champagne, if you're really going to go that whole French route, and then a splash of soda or 1 part soda. Now, again, this is up to you. This is up to your taste. But for me building this drink, I'll put, again, 1.5 measures of the Pampelle, yes? Then we'll grab a sparkling and do generally about 2 shots, maybe a little bit more, 60. Again, this is something that you can adapt to a jug, okay? So you've got a few friends coming over and you don't want to sit there just banging out these cocktails all day.
Yeah.
Grab yourself a 1.5 liter jug, something like that, and just multiply this 4, 5 times, okay? That's the perfect thing. 4 or 5 times this into a jug, perfect summer backyard barbecue time right there. And then finally, we're going to finish that off with a touch of soda, okay? And like I said, generally about 1 shot. Now again, you guys have to make it to your taste. If you want it a bit lighter, add a little bit more of the soda. If you want it to have a little bit more dryness, add a little bit more of the sparkling. If you really want a little bit more push of the Pampelle, add more Pampelle by all means. You cannot go wrong. So again, I'm going to give that a bit of a turn, and I'm going to top it off with ice. And then I'm going to do a nice thick cut of the grapefruit, and I'm going to do something a bit weird here. This is something I haven't rehearsed, so let's see how it works, all right? This could be a total fail right now. We're improvising, people. Okay, so I stole some rosemary from the bushes out here. And basically, I've got an olive there with my rosemary sprig, and I'm just going to put that into my grapefruit. Now, again, remember I said before, way back, the rosemary, we got rosemary in there. So, of course, rosemary is going to add a beautiful component. It's going to marry together quite beautifully. The fragrance is astounding. Now, again, you're doing this in jug. Grab a couple of sprigs, right in there. A couple of big pieces of ruby red grapefruit, boom, right in there. And then just set a little side of olives, because the one thing that I didn't mention about the food pairing is that things like saltiness, like olives, brininess, vinegariness, like pickled vegetables and things like that work beautifully as well, okay? So anything that tends to go on that charcuterie or cheese board is going to go fantastically with this. And we can talk about more food pairings as we go on, because there really is quite a few. It's not just limited to those sorts of things. But there you have. To me, that's a gorgeous, gorgeous Pampelle Spritz. Literally represents summertime, anytime.
It's gorgeous.
Right? The shade.
It does, yeah. People have been coming through. It's been, delicious. It's clean. It's fruity. Yeah.
I'll let.
What a great day to be.
She knows better than me.
This is huge, and it's great that it's one of those cocktails that you can once you don't stuff it up by putting in too much of one thing. You can just keep balancing.
No, exactly. And the thing is, we have to remember, we live in Australia. How fortunate are we? It's the first day of summer. We get to enjoy amazing drinks for Christmas. It's funny. I had a Zoom with my friends in New York, and they couldn't wrap their heads around that we go to the beach. We have backyard barbecues. We don't do turkey. We do shrimp and crabs and all that sort of stuff. And we drink amazing drinks like this, over the course of Christmas. So how lucky are we? How is that, Em?
As a Spritz lover, it's delicious.
Yeah.
Messing up my lipstick, but it's really nice, really clean. The Prosecco just gives it that nice bit of dryness. It's not as sweet as the first one, which I think is really nice.
Yeah. So. Yeah, exactly that. Now we're going for something that's a little bit stronger. A little bit more of a cocktail, okay? And that's the French Negroni. So prepare yourselves, because this one, again, though, we're talking about really simple, okay? Really, really simple drinks. But you'll see, when you go to a bar, they'll make Negronis, and they'll start off with something like this, and they'll ice, and they'll stir, and they'll strain it over. We're not going to do that. We're going to do the really simple, make it at home style of drink, okay? So, you're going to fill your rocks glass, your tumbler, whichever, it could be, again, your coffee mug, it'll work. Fill it with ice, okay? I don't judge. And we're going to start again with the Pampelle, all right? Now, the rules of this style of drink is equal parts, okay? So generally that would mean one shot, one shot, one shot. Now, again, this really depends on what your tastes are, okay? I don't want to tell you how to suck eggs. At the end of the day, you're making drinks for yourselves, and that's more important. But the stock standard will say 1, 1, and 1. So we're going to go 1 measure of the Pampelle, or 1 shot. Again, if it's a really big glass, you go shot and a half, shot and a half, shot and a half, right? You go 3 shots, but then you're probably ready for bed. The thing that we put after that, guys, is some gin, okay? Now, you all have, hopefully you'll have these little guys, all right? So I believe that our team actually measured out 1 shot. So we'll do it to those standards, okay? So 1 shot of gin. Now, again, if you guys are going to repeat this and you go, you know what, I like it a little bit drier, I like a little bit more intense. Up the gin a little bit. Okay. You maybe aren't really too much of a big fan of gin. Drop the gin down and come up on some of the others. The balance is where you want to find it. Okay, that's very, very important. Okay, and finally, we've got the white vermouth. Now, this is not the secco, this is not the dry, okay? This is very similar to the red style of vermouth, okay, or the rosso, that is used in the Negroni. But the difference is that we're using the softer style of the white vermouth, the Bianco or the Blanco or the Blanc. And that's namely because the original kind of white vermouth actually came from France. If you look at some of the older bartending texts, you know, from the early kind of 1800s, you'll see French vermouth is referred to a lot of the times. Now, in order to finish that off, what we're going to do is we're going to get a peel, a swathe of peel. Okay, you can. I usually prefer the peel rather than going in for the fruit and adding the juice component to it. So what you can do is just cut yourselves a little piece of peel. All right. Another easy way is if you wanted to, you could kind of cut the slice and then just use the sharp knife to go around the fruit component. Okay. You got those two pieces, and if you want to be really cool and impress your friends, right, you could actually tie it in a knot, right? And they'll be like, "Oh my God, you're such a bartender!" We'll just give it a swizzle. Sorry, I forgot to do that. Give it a bit of a shake there with the spoon, the stirrer, or the straw, whatever you have, and then just pop that in the center right there. And to me, that looks absolutely beautiful. Again, very refreshing, but you will determine what sort of measurements and how you want to do this drink, you know, to better suit your needs. But the classic is one shot of this, one shot of Pampelle, one shot of gin, and one shot of the Bianco vermouth, or the Blanco, or the Blanc. Okay. So with that said, there you go, guys. That is the Pampelle French Negroni. It is summertime, anytime. Cheers. I hope you guys like that. That's when you want something just with a little bit more punch. Now, so I think we're going to do a bit of Q&A now. Now, Em has left me, unfortunately, and she's gone to retreat to the perfect ocean view. So I'm going to grab my drink. I'm going to go and join her, and I'll hear from you guys soon.
All of you can see me now. Just had a little bit of a transition out to this beautiful rooftop here at Coogee Pavilion. Got my cocktail in hand. We hope you're all enjoying them. They are absolutely delicious. Manny's just on his way now to come and help us answer any questions that you might have about the drink, about the cocktail. So if you want to send them through to the chat now, we've just got them here for you guys. Oh, here he is. Hey, cocktail making. These are delicious.
Cheers.
So yeah, if you have any questions, please feel free to send them through to Manny. I think one thing I'm still most interested in is kind of the food pairings, going more into detail, because obviously this is a great aperitif. It starts the kind of palate, but then as you head into like main meals, what's the kind of where to from there?
Yeah, well, look, you know, there's obviously some of the obvious ones, and one of the obvious ones is like, you know, we love to cook lamb here, and especially in the summer, there's nothing like, you know, throwing some lamb chops on the barbecue. Yep. If you do like a little like maybe garlic rosemary kind of drizzle or paste or something that you cook that with, that'd be absolutely gorgeous. Most meats you'll find will actually work quite well. I played a lot around with even like canned goods, because the Spanish, me being Spanish, we do a lot of really high quality canned goods, and I found that it was incredible that you know, like really high quality canned sardines, mussels in a Galician spicy sauce, stuffed baby squid, you know, natural clams and razor clams and things like that just were out of this world. You know, we did stuffed sweet peppers with cod and like a cod and potato mix that we stuffed it with in the oven, and that worked amazingly. A lot of seafood will work. Obviously, the citrus component is fantastic. But yeah, like doing like even just some squid, like throwing some squid on the grill, a little bit of a garlic, parsley, and olive oil is fantastic. But you know, don't shy away from your meats. We tried it with meatballs in a red sauce, and it worked really really well. You know, the great thing about Pampelle, it can handle spice. Not extreme spice. I would stay away from extreme spice, but things like, you know, ginger and black pepper and spicy paprika and all of those things will work really, really well.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, so there is. I do have a list, and I guess
we can send it to everybody.
We can send it to those that would like to have that available. There's you know, just stuff that I've worked on and had the pleasure of trying, but obviously always looking to expand on that.
Yeah, for sure. I think that unfortunately everyone at home didn't get to do this because we all didn't steal rosemary from our gardens, but just by having that twig in the grapefruit as you're drinking it just gives you this beautiful aroma as you're drinking the Pampelle, which I think is like potentially just so much stronger, and it gives you that beautiful rosemary kind of follow through. And
yeah, the rosemary really, because it, like as I said, you know, when we were talking about the production, it really is a part of the production, and albeit small, it does fill a little gap in that product. So yeah, you know, by picking up you know, some fresh rosemary, which I just violently tore out of this pot plant. I hope I don't get in trouble. But you know, the flavors of that, and even like taking that and using it as a swizzle stick, you know, you get some of the flavors and aromas going through that, and it's gorgeous. It hangs around. It's
gorgeous. So we had a bit of a weird question come through, but I think it's weird because I actually would love to know the answer to this. Is can you heat it up and make like a mulled wine, mulled Pampelle type of hot winter drink? Alternatively, I know that's not the point, but
you know,
can you heat it up?
That's a very good question. You basically can heat up anything. The issues with heating up, and something that has to be really taken into consideration, is that there should be an immediacy to it. So what you don't want to do is heat for a long time, because once you do heat for a long time, it changes the molecular structure of the product. So remember, you have alcohol, and having alcohol as a component means that it boils and evaporates at a lower temperature than water.
Yeah.
So it's about, yes, you can warm it up if you wanted to do something for winter, but with anything, and this goes across with ciders, wines, or anything, you don't want to kill it. You don't want to boil it. You want to just warm it up. And yeah, of course it would work. It would work with herbs and spices. Like if you start adding things like cinnamon works fantastically. Vanilla works fantastic. So one of the things about the food pairings, going back to that, is creme brulee. Oh my God,
wow.
So delicious, you know, and French pastries, and they all really work well with Pampelle. So yes, the answer is yes, you can heat it up. Don't go overboard. Like treat it like, I guess, any other booze. Just be very careful as you heat it up.
So speaking of creme brulee, I think we had one final question, and that was, do you have any dessert pairings for Pampelle? So moving away from the main courses, is there anything else besides creme brulee you'd recommend?
Oh yeah, look, just look for things that I mean, I chocolate I tried, and I was just like, yes, but it's a very, I guess it's
kind of bitter in its own way.
Yeah, it's a very specific pairing. So I think it's one of those things that there'll be some people that would like it, but I think there's also the other extreme where people would really be offended by it, because there's Puritan. But it's not to say it doesn't work. It does. It's just you've got to be careful of the chocolate. Like if you're going to use a Valrhona chocolate, probably too much, too bitter, too harsh, too impacting in flavor. If you use a milk chocolate, yes, that'll actually work better. But pastries are really good. Anything that has like Portuguese tarts, for example, would be fantastic. Cinnamon, aniseed, anything that has like hints of aniseed through are going to work beautifully. But all those brown spices are just going to work magically. Chocolate, don't get it too bitter, because we've already got bittersweet. So bittersweet, you might find it they clash.
Yeah, of course. And I think we might have time for like one more question, which I saw come through, which is obviously grapefruit is the hero fruit. Yes. But if you were to make some type of jug or something for your friends coming over, what other fruits are complementary to kind of help bring out the flavor profile here?
what are the fruits that we would put into a drink?
Yeah. What other ones would kind of tie in nicely?
Well, I mean, needless to say, all of your citrus family are going to work quite well. Pineapple is going to work quite well. You know, I've even seen, I haven't tried it, but I've read that the banana is also, I just didn't get the opportunity to try kind of like a banana component. And again, I haven't seen banana in too many cocktails. But yeah, you basically your citruses, you know, things like your mint. Yeah, and by all means, you can easily make a sangria. In fact, one of the most popular aperitif drinks in France is rosé with pamplemousse flavor. This is a commonality in France. You go to any cafe and say rosé and pamplemousse, and they will make you basically a similar thing to what would be Pampelle with rosé wine, and it's absolutely delicious. But you can make a sangria style of cocktail with rosé, Pampelle, fill it with like pineapple, fresh mint, you know, maybe like lemons, limes if you want. If you can't get to the Riviera grapefruit, yeah, it's delicious. It'll work quite well. But any wine as well. So it doesn't have to be rosé. You could work it with white. You could work it with a red wine. It'll work just as well.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Manuel. This has been amazing. I know I'm just loving this, and this is going to be my afternoon now. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions, feel free to send them directly to the Agent99 team. We can try and get them answered for you. But I think if there's no more questions, we'll definitely wrap it up this afternoon. But thank you, Manny. Thank you to the team at Coogee Bay for hosting us here. We hope you guys learned a little bit about Pampelle, have found some new favorite summer cocktails. And yeah, thanks so much for coming and joining us this afternoon, guys.
Awesome. Cheers.
Cheers. Summertime
Cheers.
anytime.
Summertime anytime, guys. Cheers.